The mic ready to go.
What's up, everybody? Have Isaac Nunez joined in already for another episode of Beyond the Field podcast. You can find it on Elevate Sports Media, beyondthefield.pod, Instagram, TikTok. We're really trying to get those platforms going so we can help these athletes get their stories out there. Isaac Nunez joining in right now. He's playing shortstop for Southeastern University. Isaac, glad to have you on tonight. Thanks for taking the time.
What's going on, Paul? What's up, Nico? What's up, Chris? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So Mark has joined in as Chris Curcio for some reason today, but his name is actually Mark.
I don't know. I knew something was wrong. Yeah, it's Mark. How we doing?
Okay, my bad, Mark. I see Chris there, so I was like, let me go.
Yeah,
Chris.
no. I'm on my boy's computer.
All good. So Isaac, we're happy to have you on today. So Isaac's been a part of Elevate for a little bit. I think Nico recruited you, or you reached out to Nico a little bit. How long ago?
Yeah.
I don't
want to say
roughly
about maybe 2 years now. I think it was kind of when you first were getting to Elevate. There might have been a handful of guys that were part of what Nico was building. It started off, I want to say, roughly with like maybe 5 or 6 guys. And then out of those 5 or 6 guys, I think 3 of them I knew personally, between Jay Hen, Devin Ortiz, a lot of the Northeast guys, just because, again, me being from the Northeast, I know most of those guys. So I think I was referred to Nico by Jay Hen, it might have been. And he basically just explained to me, who Nico was and what Elevate was. And I was like, listen, I need help with this whole process. So if someone can explain to me what NIL deals are, if someone can explain to me how to go about branding and starting my own brand, I think Elevate Media was the perfect source to help me start that. So again, shout out to Nico, but it's been a nice 2.5 year journey with Nico.
Yeah,
cool.
I appreciate that, bro.
I mean, to hear that.
I think we work really well together. And I'm sure we're going to get into this, but Isaac is very business oriented. We'll probably get into his training services and stuff like that. But like I could tell from the day that we first spoke, I'm like, you can hear it like in someone's voice when it's like they want to get involved in their things. I'm like, all right, this kid, he's got like a little bit more to him than just, the fact that you may have been at like South Florida at the time, Isaac, or wherever you were, but yeah, so it's been great so far. I've really enjoyed working with him.
A little bit before we get into all the training, because I do have that on the schedule. I do want to get into that, but how I like to start all the podcasts is just so our listeners know who they're listening to as we, get going. Can you tell a little bit about maybe your recruitment story out of high school? Tell us whatever you want the listeners to know about you as a person, growing up. You said you grew up in the Northeast, and now I know you're down here in Florida, not too far from me in Tampa. So give the listeners a little bit about you and your story of how you got to where you are today.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so let's start from the beginning. I'm originally from New York City, born and raised, lived there for the first 17 years of my life, and then decided at the end of my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year, that Northeast baseball is interesting. Okay, because we only play for majority like 4 or 5 months out of the year with good weather. That's how long our seasons are, and then in between that, it's cold weather, off-season training. So I learned
indoor
a lot.
Facility.
Yep, I learned a lot from being in that indoor space and then having to maneuver with snow and playing in the cold weather. So it's definitely shaped me to be the player I am today. However, I said, you know what? I want to play baseball 12 months out of the year. I need to find a nice hot weather state with great competition. What better state than to move to Central Florida, which is the baseball hub of baseball. For those who don't know, you're right there between Orlando, Miami, and you're just in the pinnacle of talented Hispanics, Americans, white, blacks, all the above in Orlando and Florida in particular. But decided to move to Florida my sophomore year. I was originally committed to St. John's University in New York.
I saw that online.
Yeah. So I ended up committing there going into my freshman year of college. And the reason why was because
freshman year of high school or freshman year of college? Sorry.
Freshman year of high school.
Yes. Okay.
So I committed there my freshman year, going into my freshman year in high school. And the only reason why was because I had cousins and uncles and family members that went there. And for me personally, playing close to home means a lot. So wherever school I want to go to, I want to be in the vicinity of my grandparents, my family. And what better spot than St. John's University right there in Queens, New York? It's 15 minutes away from my house. Family went there. So I was like, listen, no need to go to any other school in the country. I want to play here. So I ended up committing there my freshman year, but moving to Florida and getting a glimpse of what the type of baseball I was getting into, I was like, yep, I ain't going back to no cold weather. So
yeah, you'd be indoors way too much.
Yep, and then the next best option was UF. So ended up committing to UF my sophomore year, and at the time I was at Lake Brantley High School. And for those who don't know where Lake Brantley is, it's a 9A, 4,000 plus kids. You have 200 kids that are tryouts. So it's a very competitive area for baseball. We're in the spank middle of Orlando, between 3 to 4 different other really well-known high schools. So the competition is insane, and the level of baseball over there is top notch. So I was blessed to be in a school where it was majority dominant, like baseball players, and so it was good getting into the ocean with those guys, and then played there for about 3 years of high school. Went to UF my freshman year. I got 6 at bats. That was COVID year. I got 1 hit out of the 6 at bats, which was a walk-off hit. That was a highlight of my.
That video. I saw
that was
that
a
video.
highlight of my SEC career.
For all the listeners, UF, he's referring to University of Florida, big time SEC score. Sometimes, the listeners are girls or, some people who aren't fully aware of, all the baseball lingo that seems so common to us. So I like to dumb it down sometimes.
So yes, for those who don't know, UF is the University of Florida. So I was there for my COVID year, and then COVID hit in March. And a few months later, I got a phone call from the assistant coach, and he basically told me straight up, plain and simple, we do not have you as a guy that's going to be coming back as a starter or a backup. We have you as a third string in every single position. And then the hardest decision came for me, which was, do I decide to come back and try to earn my starting spot, or do I come back and sit the bench after trying to earn my starting spot? Or do I take the next best opportunity at a different school and start a different career there? And I decided to go with, I'm going somewhere else. I didn't want to be one of those guys that sat at a 4-year for 4 years and didn't really get much out of it. So I decided to leave. But again, Kevin O'Sullivan was one of my favorite college coaches of all time. He gave me a waiver that let me go play from D1 to D1. So
okay, and where was the next school?
USF.
Okay.
And then I went to USF, and then I was there all fall with a great group of guys. I was finally earning my starting spot. I was finally getting comfortable playing every day. I built up a lot of confidence going between UF and USF. For those who don't know, listen, no matter what age you are, 18, 19, 20, 21, 24, 25, whatever it is, and you're still playing college baseball, there's a certain point of when you're playing for a specific coach or a specific style of coaching, if you don't meet their expectations, especially at the SEC level, you don't meet their expectations, and if you're not the player that you were or that you thought you were going into the school, right, and that's taken away from you, and now you're a bench player, and now you're not the best guy. You're not the guy you thought you were.
You're a small fish in a big pond. Yeah.
Yep, and it does a lot to your confidence, right? It does a lot to how you view yourself every day. Am I good enough? Is it true that he thinks that I can't play at any other school? Is that true? So you start doubting yourself. However, going into USF, I had a great off-season or summer program, and then when I was there in the fall, amazing, excited. 2 weeks into the spring season, in January, about to be probably middle of January, I get a phone call from my head coach. It says, "Hey, we need you to come to the office. Come talk to us." And so I say, "Okay, perfect." Get in the office. "What's up, coach? Talk to me. What's the game plan for today? Whatever." And he said, he looked me in my face and he goes, listen, I don't know what easy way to tell you this. And immediately, my heart just went, boom, just sunk.
No.
Sunk to my
it's
stomach.
thinking right now. I don't even know what you're going to say.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh my God, like what's going on? Like I've done everything right. Like, there's what can it possibly be? And he looked at me and he said, the NCAA and our compliance office have come to an agreement, and that you had to be suspended from the NCAA for a whole year because you broke the NIL rule. For player likeliness, we have you promoting a separate company. That's not Adidas, because USF is Adidas. You're promoting a separate company, and you're using your name and likeliness to get people to pay attention to what you're promoting. So you clearly broke the rule of the NIL, regardless if you were making money or not.
This was probably like one of the first years of NIL too. I was like basically probably right.
So this is February of 2021. So NAIL didn't come out till June of 2021. Yeah. So February, March, April, May, June. So about years later. Yep.
Can I ask what it was?
Yeah. So I had a friend who was a part of a company called Press Sports. For those who don't know what Press Sports is basically a social media company that helps athletes promote themselves via social media to other schools and programs and so forth. It's important people. You post all your highlights, you post all your workout videos, in-game highlights.
It's like TikTok, but like only sports. It's a same type as TikTok, but it's only like sports videos.
So that's what you were using when you were trying to get recruited to UCF.
To USF.
No.
I was there. I was using I was using their app, and I was helping them do a couple promotional videos at the time. So again, called me into the office, and he basically told me, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry, you're suspended for a year."
Wow.
After feeling I was back to here again in my life, I was like, "Well, now what?" Boom, just kicked off, not playing, couldn't practice. Couldn't be on the field. He let me continue taking my classes. However, I couldn't be around the team. I had to go do my own thing.
Wow.
And at that point, you're looking at a Friday night in March as I'm sitting in my dorm room by myself, and I'm talking about all my boys at Florida, my boys at USF, all the SEC schools, even guys are playing at the JUCO level, the NAIA, all my boys, everyone's playing. And I remember sitting there and watching and saying, "Can I curse?"
Yeah, of course. Uncensored.
I basically said, "Yo, where did I fuck up? Like where did this all go wrong?" Because out of high school, you were him to everyone. Like you were extremely well known via social media wise. Shout out to Press Sports for that, for getting me my following, but
yeah,
you were really well known social media wise. Your TikTok, your Instagram, everything's blowing up. You're doing really, really well. And now you're at the bottom of total poll, and no one knows where you're at, who you're playing with, and what happened to Isaac Nunez. Where's he at? So I'm sitting there and watching my boys play, and it was the most depressing time of my life.
Wow.
Because there's no other feeling of, for example, if you got hurt and you're out there watching your boys play every day. Yep, you know. So if you're out there and you got hurt and you're watching your boys play every single day, at a certain point, you're like, man, I'm happy for you guys. You guys are winning. I'm happy you guys are playing well. I'm happy that you guys have the ability to play the game right now. I don't. So let me hate for a little bit. Okay. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. I felt like I couldn't be happy for any of my friends. I felt like I couldn't be happy for any of my teammates. And I felt like that I was not where I wanted to be. And so that whole spring season, I did the stupidest thing that I possibly could have done, which was I completely stopped taking all my classes in the spring semester at USF. Right? I just classes.
You were down in the dumps. Yeah.
5 classes. I was like, yo, I'm not playing this year. F my classes. Train all spring. Get ready to go play summer ball. Ball out, and then get picked up. Take free agency. Take whatever you want from the draft. But I switched my mindset to I don't need school. I don't need anybody else. I need to grind and get drafted. That was my whole lifestyle. Every day, grind and get drafted. And for those who don't know, that is a shitty lifestyle to have.
I love that you say that, because we've mentioned this so many times on the pod. We had Alex Katz on, who's the owner of Stadium Custom Kicks.
Yep,
and he's the one who brought it up. And then me and Nico got to back him up when he says it, and we bring it up with everyone that we talk to now. Our game has been elevated since becoming a part of Elevate, since finding other hobbies, so that your life and your emotions aren't all based on how you perform on the field, and that seems like it's something that you went through, and you can tell the listeners firsthand, hey, this isn't something that's healthy, and it's not something that helps my game even.
Yep. And because, anytime we go home for Christmas vacation or for any type of family event, the first question that gets asked, hey, Paul, how's baseball? Hey, Nico, how's baseball?
Oh, dude, don't even get me. And I gotta jump in real quick. Even now, because I've gotten so much better at it, and I mentioned this in previous podcasts, where in high school, my performance in baseball would determine it, kind of my mood for the week or whatever. And so it's well, how's baseball? It's oh my God, the one question or the one thing I don't want to talk about, right? But I can relate to that so much. Or if you're not playing, it's oh, it's great. Well, how are you doing? Oh man, it's like you're trying to get away from it, but it's so hard to for people who aren't in the shit of competitive college sports or just who don't dedicate so much time to it. I guess it's hard to explain from being inside this circle of being a college athlete.
Yeah, you grind every day, and
that's it. And it's so we tend to attach this label of the baseball player next to our name. So you got Paul Sullivan, the baseball player, right? Nico Magana, baseball player. So we always put this label of the baseball player next to our name, and we let that label dictate our whole life. Now, don't get me wrong. When you have a goal to become a professional baseball player, and baseball is all you know and all you want to do, right? I have that side of me. Don't get me wrong. That side is still here. Right? The side that wants to get drafted, the side that is going to be a major leaguer, the side that I will be an all-star. I have that side of me. Right? However, I do not let that side dictate everything else that goes on with my life.
Yeah.
Right? I need to make
how do you do that though? It's what have you worked on over the years to help that?
Finding love in everything else, a part of the process. So for example, I found a lot of interest and love into developing this certain type of body that I want to portray in front of everybody else. So when I go on the field, I close my eyes and I imagine, okay, when people look at me and my figure on the baseball field, what do I look like? Do I look like a short Hispanic that looks fat in his baseball pants? Do I look like a sloppy middle infielder? Do I look like an old man with a full long beard and nasty mustache? I got a stash now. First time growing one out, I can't really tell. But I'm saying I need to be as clean cut as possible. So I found love into a workout routine that I love, into a body self-care routine that I love. My business, again, another thing that I love to do. I found love in that. And so I put time away for that. My relationships with my friends, my family, that's very important to me now more than ever. My freshman and sophomore year, I won't lie to you, I was a dick. I was an eye guy. I don't care about what Paul's doing. I don't care about what Nico's doing. Listen, I got to do my own thing. And don't get me wrong, I still have that a little bit in me, but I'm not as a dick as I was before. I have an understanding of other people and other people's needs, especially my teammates, and that's a big thing. So Again, to kind of sum that up, we always have this label as we're the baseball player, but as I found other things that I love to do, I found so much success on the baseball field. I'm hitting 490 right now.
I was going to bring that up. I got your stats up here. This is stupid. I don't want you to say it because I want to be the one to jerk you off a little bit here. Right now what I'm seeing is 451, 113 at bats, 51 hits, 8 home runs, 32 RBIs. He's slugging over 700 and, on base percentage 522. So these numbers are stupid right now. One of the questions that I don't know if you had more to say with that, but what's the competition been like in the NAIA ball that you've been playing?
Well, for those who don't know, especially after COVID, every single level of baseball is extremely competitive. So for those who say, oh, it's just NAIA or it's just JUCO baseball, like it's not SEC, I tell you this now. I know dudes at the JUCO level that will put to shame a lot of SEC guys or ACC guys. I know a lot of NAIA pitchers that will carve 80% of SEC, ACC lineups, right? And so the game of baseball is the same no matter where you are. We know that, right? It's the same at UT. It's the same at my school. It's the same at a Northeast baseball school. Baseball is baseball. However, the competition, I get it. It's going to be a little bit different because they always say that, oh, you know, Florida's Florida or SEC's SEC. I get that. But competition, when it comes to overall, I think that at every single level, there's dudes everywhere. Like, for example, our team.
Agreed.
We have like 3 dudes. We have like 5 SEC transfers, 3 JUCO All-American transfers. So our team is stacked. Like we can compete with anyone in the country, anyone. And we've proven that we're 33-1 right now. And last year we went 59-4. So like, to me, I think that no matter where you play at, especially NAIA or SEC or ACC, whatever it is, I can care less. Baseball is baseball, and you're gonna find good competition wherever you go. So don't get me wrong. I faced a dude that throws 95. And the next dude might come in throwing like 63. I get that. At the SEC, it might be 95 and then 92 and then 88. For us, it's like 95 and then 63, 75, 80. So I get that. But it is what it is.
So is that something that you focus on? We'll get into your training with Nunez stuff, but is that something that you try to get your younger guys to understand too? Because I feel like it's a big misconception for like high schoolers and middle schoolers. Oh, you're not at a big D1 school? Like that, I feel like they maybe see it a little bit lower. Is that something that you try to get across to them?
I do, and I especially tell it to the majority of my older guys that realistically won't play at those levels, right? And so at the ages of like 16, 17 years old, I can kind of be a little bit more blunt with certain guys that I train or certain guys that are at our facility, where I can tell them to their face, like, listen, yo, you could put up really good JUCO numbers and maybe go D1 because of 2 things. One, you're not an academic qualifier. And for those who don't know how important academics are, listen, I get it. You're going to have a few dudes that make it to like the biggest SEC schools that are just completely just not there at all. Like I know personally
they're good
a
baseball
bunch of
players.
Dudes, they're insane athletes, but mentally they have 0 brain cells. You will get a
those
few
are
of those.
Sometimes the best players too.
Those are sometimes the best players because they just don't think. They just go up there and do it.
They don't think.
Ball, hit ball, see ball, hit ball.
That's it. And so I get that. However, being an academic qualifier is truly important because of this, right? Money, when you're an academic qualifier, is nice. I know dudes at UF, for example, that were making 2, 3, 4, 5 grand every other month just because of academic money here, scholarship money here, academic here, scholarship. And so they have every scholarship system you could think of. And then I also dealt with some of the dudes like me, for example, who went into UF like a 2.3 GPA, 2.2, who just didn't take school seriously. And that's why I had to not get the most money. That's why I couldn't have fun like some of the other guys did because I didn't have money to support that. So academic qualifier, be that guy, right? And number 2, just being an overall dude on the baseball field, right? And so being an overall dude gets you that money as well. But I tell most of my guys, to go back to your question, Mark, I tell most of my guys when they're like 16, 17 years old, be realistic, right? Now, I will never tell my 13, 14, 15-year-old that because if you tell a 13, 14, 15-year-old be realistic, you're kind of setting their expectations and they're going to start doing their style of training and their work ethic based off of your dumbass opinion that they won't make it to the next level. Now, again, at 17 years old, you can kind of tell, like, dog, you ain't gonna make it. Like I promise you, I see some
it's
dudes
a little
that
more
make it
real.
level. It's a little bit more real. So yes, Mark, I do try to talk to the majority of my guys and tell them, listen, wherever you play baseball, baseball will be baseball, right? That's why we play it. We play it because we love it and because it's very loyal to us, right? Loyal as far as if you work, you get results. If you don't, you don't, right? And so but yeah.
Very cool. I love how mature you are to talk about all this stuff because this is real life. Like, I mean, just, you know, getting down to things that happen to people. And sometimes it's things you can't control, but it's also really cool to hear you talk now and how you've matured. And to the listeners out there who are maybe in a situation where they're getting 2 2s, 2 3s, and, you know, they think that, you know, this is who I am. There's no changing it. But in reality, it's like you can put whatever you put your mind to. I'm huge on, you know, putting your mind to things now, and you can do it. Like there are things like obviously physical limitations, but mental limitations I don't really fully believe in. Like if you want to do something, if you want to believe something, like put your mind to it and go at it 110% and good things happen.
Spot on. Clip that.
100%.
Yeah.
Nothing else is out there that can beat you besides yourself. If you think that's
David Goggins type stuff right there. So going back to a little bit of your Southeastern season last year, what was the final record of the year?
59-4.
Okay, so 59-4. Here's a few things that I want to say out there to some college baseball players, maybe some guys going to get recruited. To win 54 games in a season, you're shaking hands with your dudes, with your guys you're in the locker room with 54 times, and you're going to dogpile with them at a national championship level. Can you take the listeners a little bit through like what that season was like? Something here at UT. So I played baseball at Iona University for my first 4 years, and we were dog shit. I loved every single player on that team. I loved all the guys I met. I loved my coaches. We didn't get to shake hands at a lot of at the end of many games. And now being at UT, being 23-4 to start the season, two things I would recommend to athletes who are looking to go play college baseball: go somewhere you're going to play and like the coaches, and go somewhere that's going to win you baseball game, because those are two things that make life a lot better, even though it's not dictating our moods all the time. So take the listeners through a little bit what last year's season was like.
Yeah, last year was an amazing year, not just because of our record, but how much I've learned from playing with specific guys. Now, last year's team compared to this year's team, I'll give you the big difference. Last year's team, we had a lot of 23, 24, 25-year-old men. This year, we have a lot of 19, 20, 21-year-old studs. And right, and so when you have men and studs on the baseball field, studs will win based off their talent. That's a given. We have our whole outfield is above 6'4" and all insanely lean. I'm talking about right field is 6'4", 225 lean. Left field 6'6", 230 lean. Center field is 6'2", 185 lean. So athletically, our team this year is insane, which is why we've been spanking a lot of teams, because physically we're there. What last year's team had was a bunch of fat Hispanics that hit nukes, right? And so, however, the reason why I say it like that is because these dudes brought a certain level of, I don't want to say not giving a fuck, right? Because I don't want to say it, but at the same time, it's as point as it can be. When you're a man and you look at the 18, 19-year-old scrub on the mound, in your mind, you're not thinking, damn, I got to go 4 for 4 in front of this scout. No, bro. I'm here just to have my AB and then go back in the dugout and then do it again and then do it again. And so that was the success of last year, was a bunch of grown men showing up to the baseball field and saying, hey, might as well, while we're here, let's whoop that ass and leave. So it was that simple. This year's a little bit different. This year's a little bit more, we're playing to obviously win like every other team, but the difference is that we're relying a lot on our athleticism and talent. Last year's team, again, kind of stuck out a lot of games just because, again, we had to pull through. This year is just like, listen, we're just going to head down and dive into every team like 100% effort. Last year was like, we'll go into a game with 60% effort and still whoop that ass.
Yeah. No, that's something at UT I've definitely noticed too. Like at Iona, our weightlifting schedule was so like, we need to do this, this, and this. Everyone had played with a tight ass. And then now I'm here at Tampa, and sometimes these guys are kicking their feet up, not worrying about, that we're playing Rollins this weekend, who's also the ranked 17th in D2 Nation or something like that. They're like, yeah, it's another weekend series. If we lose, we know we're still going to make the playoffs. And, we're just playing for game 52 right now, where once the regular season's over, we know we're going to be in the playoffs, getting ready to play our best baseball once playoffs start. So, like, obviously it also matters. You want to win every single weekend, but then, we're working towards something bigger than just a series win this weekend. We're working towards that national championship.
You know what that is, Paul? That's all about culture. Like, there has been hard work and like probably like a lot of tough times at Tampa that got them to the point of like this like powerhouse of D2 baseball. You know what I mean? And Isaac, I'm sure it's the same thing over your program, because I've been a part of, like both my college programs are losing programs, and there were a lot of problems, with the culture. And I came into my senior year really trying to like flip that script. And I think that we've done a pretty good job right now, but like it's like I'm seeing it firsthand. Like it takes like a lot of work and it takes a lot of guys to buy in. So I mean, like and I wanted to say that for anyone listening, like that is what culture is. It's like because it's just like an aura around the dugout. It's like, yeah, whatever. Oh, we're down 6-3, whatever. Like we're probably gonna come back, or these guys, whatever. Fucking, we're gonna, like it's like we'll beat them in 5 innings and then like we'll go home. So like
that's literally what it is.
That's exactly like it's all about mindset.
The other team scores first, and we're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We're about to come in, drop three or four in the first inning, and then if the starter doesn't have his stuff, yeah, we'll throw the ball to a guy in the bullpen who has an under 2 ERA, and it really doesn't matter. We'll be all right.
I real quick, I want to touch on culture, like you said. I think that's what makes these big SEC programs who they are, is that they've already established their culture, which is like, for example, at Florida, their culture is you are here for a reason. Get your job done, and if you don't, the guy behind you will. Point blank, period. And if you can't get your job done, there's 30 other thousand kids in the country that are about to come for your spot in particular, right? And so
if you don't do the job, what it is.
Definitely.
Bye-bye. And so, again, going back to culture, that's so true. At UF or any other of the SEC programs, their culture is that. It's the win mentality. It's the competitive, but it's also you need to be selfish in your own process, because if you don't get your job done, then you're gone. Next guy's up, right? That's what establishes those top-ranked teams in the country. And that's great to be a part of. And I love that. However, I've learned so much more from being in the completely opposite environment, which was listen, this is just baseball. That's all it is, right? It's just nothing, no complicated. Just go out there and play baseball, and then we'll rip you a new one in practice. But when it comes to the game,
you've been playing probably since you were 5, 6, 7 years old. It started as a game. It's still a game. Go out there, have fun with it, and go make lifelong memories with your friends.
Look at something. Sorry, Paul. I gotta say one more thing, because this is one of my favorite things that I've ever seen. Like Vanderbilt in the fall, or like whenever they do it, it doesn't matter who you are. They're all wearing plain black t-shirts. They're all wearing plain black hats. Like Enrique Bradfield's doing it on top of maybe the kid who's trying to walk on or some freshman. Yeah, but it's like, and I love that. So you have to earn like the respect and that value of having the V on your chest. I think that is the coolest thing, in college baseball or, in sports right now.
That's all culture stuff. Something I wanted to ask Isaac is so you've seen SEC, you've seen USF, which is in what conference? I'm blanking right now. Sunbelt?
American Conference.
American Conference.
They play against ECU, Tulane.
Yeah. Very, very high level competition, even though it's not Power 5, still very, very good baseball. And then you talk about the lean dudes on your team over at Southeastern. So what has been the difference in weight room regimen? So at UF, what was your weightlifting program like? Were you guys on a nutrition plan? What was USF like? And now what are the differences you've seen in all the programs weightlifting?
Great question. So at UF, we lifted exactly at the same time every day, no matter what. It was a completely team lift, which meant everyone had to be there. There wasn't you lift at 11 and we'll lift at 12, or you lift at 1. It was, listen, we're all lifting at 6 a.m. So you need to be there, everyone. After your lift was done, you would go and immediately go to the team nutritionist, who is sitting right behind the counter of making your protein shakes and your post-lift meals. So you get your protein shake, you get your protein bar.
It sounds like heaven, dude. That sounds like I've never had.
It is
nice, bro. It sounds so nice.
So nice. And so you go from there to the dining hall, and then you use your little athletic card to slide into the athletic dining hall for athletes only, and you get a full course buffet breakfast just because you're an athlete, so you get it for free. And then after that, you kind of have the rest of the day off. Yeah. So that's UF. USF is same thing. We all lifted at the same time. But after the lift, it was kind of like, hey, there's a little snack section over there. You can kind of go make something for yourself if you want. And that's pretty much it. Nothing special. And then at Southeastern, it's more, hey, listen, pick a time that works best for you. Whenever you can make it, make it. Get your times in for the week. That's really important. But at the same time, it's a little bit more open. It's a little bit more free. You don't have to wear the same gear. You can wear whatever you want. It's more laid back. However,
the program's budget isn't the same as these SEC schools. It's tough. You can't expect these things. Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. So there's no food. There is no getting treated like a king afterwards with free breakfast. If you don't got breakfast money, it sounds like a personal problem for you. But at the end of the day, that's kind of the differences between financially. However, the lifts wise, identical. The same lifts we did at UF, we still do here. The same lifts we did at USF, we do here. The same lifts we do here, we did everywhere else. So all the lifts are basically the same. And I think that goes for the majority of all baseball players, depending on who your strength coach is. I think a lot of the movements will be similar, right? Like, hey, we don't do barbell bench, we do dumbbell bench, right? Or hey, we like doing back squat, but we rather do some front squat. Or we rather do split squat instead of step back lunges, whatever it is. Right, I think a lot of the same programs have the same lifting techniques. Definitely. However, it always goes back to, like you said, culture, which is what kind of mindset those dudes have in those lifting times. So UF mindset lift was, yo, let's get after it. Let's go crazy, right? Here, it's more like you personally could get after it, but you're not really going to get on the other guy because he's kind of doing his own thing. You know, he's doing what the workout says, but he's also adding in a little bit of his own stuff. So it's kind of, you can keep him accountable and get on him, but at the same time, it's kind of like, listen, I don't want to be that guy because 90% of everybody else is kind of doing their own thing anyways.
Yeah, and as long as everyone's getting their work in their own way, it's, all helping towards the common goal of winning some baseball games. Looks like you guys haven't had any trouble doing that. So it's hard to get on guys too much when you're still performing on the field in the ways that you should.
It's funny you say that because today for practice, we got destroyed. I'm talking about we had to run with water bags over our heads between pole to pole. We had a 7-minute burpee station. We had a bear crawl around the perimeter of the infield. And then we had rolls in the center field. And I'll tell you this why. Because we got too comfortable. That's what I think. Again, everybody has their own perspective. What I think, we got way too comfortable. Dog, when you go up to a field knowing you're going to destroy the other team, right, it kind of turns into like whatever, right? Now, again, whatever is good and bad, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
However, whatever is not good when you treat everything like whatever. Like when you show up on the field, whatever, ground balls, whatever. That's different. You show up to the field, get after it while you're here for batting practice, get your work in, get all drenched in sweat, right? Work hard. And then you can take that little break, and then game time starts, and then it's like, okay, whatever now, because I got my work in, I did what I had to do. Now we're gonna win. But for us, we got very comfortable, so we stopped doing the little things right, and then it became those little things that we weren't doing right became bigger issues, and we got paid for today. So we got,
and that's why you guys won a national championship. That's exactly why.
And that's why we win national championships, because even at 33-1. We're still gonna get our ass busted in center field and run sprints and have guys puke and throw up during practice.
That's crazy. 100%. That is really nuts.
It started off as I watched, and then afterwards it was like, okay, this makes sense. We deserve this.
Yeah. And how have the practices been at all the 3 different levels? Like, what have you? Very similar practice styles. Like
very
similar BP. Like get your indie work in, take ground balls.
I think majority of how your practices are ran obviously is based off of your coaching. And so I know certain SEC programs and ACC programs that had just extremely laid back coaches. I'm talking about, hey, let's just show up, get our cuts in, and take ground balls, and we'll get out of here. Right? I've seen the complete opposite. I've seen, this is drill day, right? So Monday through Friday, we're doing drills on drills on drills, and we're going over pick plays, bump plays, push this, and that. I've seen that too. But at my experience between the 3 schools I've been at, it's all been the same, which is high intensity practices. Very, very high intensity practices, and everything is quick pace. So that's my favorite way of being a part of a practice. Like I hate dragged out practices. They get annoying and they get frustrating after a while, because it's like, all right, we can be out of here by now. But I'm blessed that the coaching styles that I've had have been high pace and quick tempo practices.
I think this is a cool transitioning point too, because running your training with Nunez, you get to see both sides of playing and coaching. I've had my opportunities to coach some younger kids too. One summer I coached my little cousin's 13U travel team. We went undefeated, won a championship. That was memories I'll have forever.
There you go.
But so if anyone listening, Isaac does run a baseball training page called Tea with Nunez, right? It's a travel team. You guys also have a travel team. So tell us about how you got into that, where you plan for it to go, and kind of, you know, the backstory of starting this all up.
Yeah, so most of us college athletes know that when it comes time for off season, we don't have your full-time jobs, right? Because we're working on our craft, working on our baseball. Most of us have a really good connection at a facility nearby our houses where we have the availability and the opportunity to work with youth kids and kids that want to be in our shoes. So we tend to gravitate a lot of the youth audience into the personal training world, right? A lot of older guys like to work with older coaches, obviously, because more experience, they know how to communicate a little bit better. But a lot of youth kids want to work out with the next MLB guy, or the best college shortstop, or the best college pitcher. Right? They'd rather work with those guys than work with a 75-year-old man who's just kind of feeding you on the hack attack.
Yeah.
Like not throwing any shots at my dad, but I'm just saying that's what it is. So after, I don't know, maybe about 3-4 years of kind of just training kids here and there and building some really good relationships, but just training kids to pay the bills, I was tired of that, personally speaking. As far as from a business perspective and from a financial perspective, I was tired of every $60 I made on a lesson, every $40 I made on a lesson was going straight to like my gas and my food for the day, and then the money was gone.
Yeah.
And so it was a shitty way to live, or try to make a living based off of that, because one, I don't come from a family that has money, so I can't just kind of call my mom and say, hey mom, I need gas money for the week, or dad, I need groceries for the week. It's kind of like, hey, listen, you're on your own, so figure it the fuck out, because I'm sorry, I can't help you. So financially, I wanted to find something a little bit more serious, but at the same time, I've had such great relationships with some of the kids that I've trained since 2019, 2020. And so when I decided to start a personal training business for baseball, as well as my own travel organization, I went into it with the mindset that, listen, I know exactly what it takes to play at a specific level. I know exactly what Paul Sullivan needs to do every day if he wants to be the pitcher that wants to throw 95 and make it to the league. And right,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not promising you that you're gonna make it to the league. However, I know the work ethic that gets there. I've seen it. Right, my all-season routine is working out at Competitive Fitness. For those who know in Orlando, Competitive Fitness has Brendan Rodgers, Zach Veen, all the best players in Orlando, and they all go train there. So that's what we train in the off season. And so I see the kind of work ethic that goes into it. Right? I see what the major leaguers do. I see what the college guys do, and I see what the #1 high school draft picks work out like. And I also know from firsthand experience what the mental side of the game looks like and feels like. And so in my mind, I basically told myself, I just want to explain to a kid and to a parent what this process looks like. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is, or I'm gonna be completely blunt with you and tell you where your kid is at this point, or where he's at. Obviously, my father has a little bit better eye about that because he is a certified MLB scout. He's been in the scouting bureau since 2014. He has his speed agility coaching, all these certifications and licenses and degrees and all that stuff. Very cool.
I didn't know that. Is he with a specific team?
Not right now. No, we stopped doing scouting. As most of you know, what the scouting life is like. It's kind of like just show up to a baseball field for a couple hours, watch a scrub hit the baseball a couple times, and then write a little report and send it back to somebody, and then kind of go and just that'll be your life every single day.
I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, a lot of travel. And so that's something that he didn't want to really do anymore. So he stepped back from that, and then he decided, hey, listen, let's start our own thing. Let's do our own travel team. Let's do our own organization. If we're going to do this, let's do it our own way. So that's what we did. And we created TWN, which is Training with Nunez. And then we also have TTP, which is Travel Team Prime, also known as Trust the Process. I live my life based off of, again, no matter how cliche you think it is, on trusting the process. That has made me the player I am today, because it's not just trusting the process, it's falling in love with it that has made me find success on the baseball field. So I fell in love with the difficult practices. I fell in love with the ice baths or the routine that should make me a successful baseball player. So I fell in love with that routine, and I found success on the field with that. And don't get me wrong, there's days where I go 0 for 4, 0 for 5 with 5 Ks, but that's just baseball. But again, knowing that I did what I had to do beforehand, it's okay.
If you get 5 hits the next day, you're still a Hall of Famer.
The journey makes it so much better. After you put all the work in, it's all about the journey. You can get to the end destination regardless, but if you don't fall in love with the process of going through everything and working every single day, it's not worth it as much. It's definitely a better feeling at the end.
Exactly. By the way, Mark, I see that that banner behind you. It's a pretty badass banner. The Scranton Oakmont.
You like that one?
Yeah, that's pretty badass. I just noticed that.
My dad's obsessed with that. That's his screensaver. Is that too much? I don't know.
Pretty badass. Loves that.
That marketing, how you have your travel team marketed, and anyone in the Florida area who's looking to get their kids into some sort of program. I mean, this sounds like an amazing opportunity. And just really,
we have a lot of plans coming up. We have our summer training program that was just released. And so that is a 6-week long, 5-day-a-week training program throughout the summer. We also have our 2 showcase weekends in in June and July. And those showcase weekends will be in front of schools and pro attention as well, because we'll have all of our college athletes back and doing that as well, doing those showcase weekends. And then same thing with travel team, our 13, 14, we're excited for. And so enough with the plugging, but that's kind of what
keep plugging in.
Really keep going.
Definitely. No, we want to help you in any way, help you get your story out there. This is why I started this podcast, or why we started this podcast, because something I've realized through college baseball is every single person on that roster has a different story of how they've gotten there. And it's so cool to be able to connect with other college baseball players and just athletes in general and hear their stories of how they've gotten to where they are today, what their plans, goals, hobbies are for the future. And, it's just so cool hearing like even your story today, or, Mark's story is completely different than what your story is. And we're all doing the same thing, trying to win baseball games.
Exactly.
100%. So I kind of want to ask a little bit about a little bit more on the coaching side. As a coach and as a player, can you explain to the younger guys or any listener that we have how important it is to be a coachable player?
Yeah. I think the importance of understanding when you're doing a lesson with someone, or for a kid, for example, like when I'm working with a kid and I'm explaining something to him, I then take a second and go, that's what it is. That's why I didn't personally hit that fastball. That's why I'm not hitting the curveball, because the thing that I'm telling this kid to work on and that I'm watching is exactly what I see in myself. So if you can learn how to teach someone, but also teach yourself, you will find it to be much more productive, number one, but you will also find more success in your lessons and in your own career, whatever it is.
More understanding.
That's the power of explaining things to someone. If you can explain a routine, it'll also remind you this is the routine that you need to be on to be successful. So I've caught myself numerous amount of times telling a kid, listen, drink a gallon of water a day. That's why you're cramping every day, right? That's why you're not getting that extra water in your muscles that you need to look thicker, look bigger. And in my head, I'm like, Isaac, you're only drinking half a gallon of water the past 3 days, right? And so it reminds me, if I'm going to talk about it, be about it. And that's another thing. I tend to get frustrated at certain people. I would say like my teammates, for example, because I do have the coaching background where if I expect something from somebody, I need that expectation to be met. And so I have a lot of high expectations for a lot of my teammates. A lot of them I give a lot of high expectations for. And sometimes when I don't get that expectation back, like if I see that they're not doing what they need to do, or if I see that they're literally just completely slacking off, and it's like, bro, come on, right? Might as well, while we're at the baseball field, might as well get it in, right? And so you're already here, so might as well work hard and then leave here knowing that, okay, listen, I did what I had to do here, right? So
100%.
I tend to get frustrated.
Why waste your time? Yeah,
exactly. I tend to get frustrated at times because I see certain guys and I'm just like, you're 24 years old, right? You know this. Don't come up to me and say, oh, my body's feeling good. You know, I've been stretching. Stop it. You don't stretch enough, right? And then that's kind of like the calling someone's bullshit when you talk with a bunch of kids and you kind of know when a kid's like, yeah, coach, I ran this morning. Like, no, you didn't. Or yeah, coach, I did this. I just watched you. You didn't do any of it. And so I can notice the BS in a lot of, or in certain teammates that I have when they basically say, hey, bro, you know, I want to make my sleep better. Okay, so sleep at the same time every day.
It's like they're lying to themselves so much to try to make themselves come across as something that they're not, but they're starting to like almost believe their lies to themselves. And I feel like that's something that some players definitely do, like to maybe to somebody like you who gets after it every single day and somebody that doesn't. Like, I'd want you to think that I'm getting after it just like you're getting after it, but that's not the way that you're supposed to go about it.
Exactly. So, and then, like, for example, like when I post certain videos, like my morning flow workouts or my gym workouts, when I post them on social media, I'm not doing it for myself. Like, I don't have to. I went through the stage of my life where I thought that legitimately posting everything that I'm doing is only going to benefit me, right? Because I mean, it does, right? The more you post about you working out, you train, you do get recognized a bit more, and people do come up to you and say, "Hey, bro, I see your workouts. Like keep working. I see that." But I post it now because I want the kids that I train, right, to know that I'm on the same boat as you, big dog. Like, you might only be 16, 17 years old and trying to be a major leaguer, but I'm 22 years old trying to be a major leaguer. I'm 3 years, 4 years away from you. So however work or however hard you think that you're working, I want you to know as your coach, I work twice as hard as you. So either you get on my page and like the way I train and then follow my philosophies, right? Or you can do your own thing and write and figure out on your own, which, don't get me wrong, I have learned that sometimes you do need that for someone to tell you, yo, figure out your own process, because then you start to cherish or you start to understand what goes into being a type of person that you want to become. So I do think that sometimes you need that. But at the end of the day, listen, like if you see someone doing it right next to you, right, let that person be the example. Like, damn, like if he's doing that, I need to do that. So
very cool.
Real quick, I'll give you an example. We had a kid in our team named Brandon Dieter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the name Brandon Dieter, but Brandon, he was a Team USA out of high school, All-American out of high school, played at Sanford, went to go play at University of New Mexico afterwards because of playing time, but he has his own journey in his own life. But I was very fortunate enough to meet him this fall. He's not with us in the spring anymore because he decided to quit baseball. However, he left something very, very valuable for me, which was he made me understand the importance of personal growth. I've learned that with personal growth, like truly taking care of what you need to specifically take care of will only make everything else in your life so much easier, right? And like, it's just so simple to say. It is one of the hardest things to do, but at the same time, it is so simple to just start the process of going into, listen, I hate waking up tired. Go to bed early. I hate that my body looks like this. Go to the gym. I hate that my class is screwing me on all these assignments. Get them done a week in advance.
Yeah.
Find a way to be proactive about something, and then I promise you, every other aspect of your life will be so much easier. So much easier.
Very well said.
It was a teammate, that taught me a lot.
100%. Very, very well said. So one of the last questions I have for you, I saw when I was doing some research, you played in the MLB Draft League for 2 summers, right? So with the Williamsport Crosscutters, that's where the MLB Hall of Fame is, right, in Williamsport. So what was that like? What was the competition like? And, did it help you get recognized by some MLB scouts? Were there a good amount of scouts there each day? Like, how do you think the league was put together?
Yeah, and so I'll give you a quick perspective. The MLB Draft League was a great league. Phenomenal league. One of the best collegiate summer leagues I've been a part of, not just because of the competition that was insane, like it was great competition. Every guy that went up there was slinging 95 plus, right? Every position player was a well-known dude from their school. So it was a lot of familiar faces out there from a lot of bigger programs. Great competition, great baseball, great atmosphere, right? To the people of Williamsport, the Crosscutters is their hometown heroes. So they don't care if you're Paul Sullivan, a nobody from nowhere. Once you're at a Crosscutters uniform, you are now Paul Sullivan, the Crosscutters baseball player. And so you're looked at completely differently. And that's with all summer leagues. For
It
those
is
who don't
really
know,
cool.
when you go play summer ball, stop with the whole so just another summer ball game. It is what it is. Because I tell you this now, to the people that are there to watch you play, this is everything to them. Right? You're going to be playing in the middle of nowhere in the Northwoods, the middle of nowhere in the Cape, or the middle of nowhere in any other collegiate league there is across the whole country. There's hundreds of them, right? Sometimes you'll play in front of 5 people or in front of 150 people. But at the end of the day, summer baseball is fun because the fans make it fun, right? Sometimes you go to school, like my school, for example, we only have like 7 to 20 people that show up to the games, 50 the most, right? UF was 10,000 fans on a Friday night against Miami. Right, so I got a little bit of experience of both, but that summer baseball, the fans, the whole atmosphere about it is different, and I love summer baseball.
Yeah, no, I got a chance to go play in the Coastal Plains League in Wilson, North Carolina, and it was the same thing. Like, there are season ticket holders down there. There are like people who are planning their wedding around like, oh, the Top's got a game this weekend. You know, I can't make your wedding. I'm sorry. Like that might be a little bit of an extreme, obviously, but it's pretty funny how like I'm signing autographs for these guys, and you know, my career might be coming to an end soon, and it's like, you know, like, come take my autograph. I love this feeling, and this is something I'm gonna enjoy for like have memories for the rest of my life. But you know, this autograph might not be because I make it because of baseball. It might be because this podcast blows up, and now you got hopefully a sports podcaster and an agent in the future that can get you some tickets with some of our guys that we represent. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
and then real quick, I want to touch on the difference between a position player going to summer ball and a pitcher. Okay. There's a big misunderstanding of how important summer ball really is. Summer ball is important for specific reasons. Okay. So if you're a position player, summer ball is extremely important for 2 reasons. The first one is a pro team is going to want to see you against good competition with wood bat. All summer leagues are all wood bat. And so we go from playing with these metal bats and get our little rinky dink extra hits because we got jammed on 93 in our hands. But because we have a $300 metal bat, it somehow finds its way off of the wall. So compared to if now I'm facing 93 and I get fastball in my hands, now my barrel is at shortstop and my handle's still in my hands. Right.
Yeah, so, and the ball went to the pitcher.
And the ball went back to the pitcher.
And then also, last thing, your thumbs are on the ground too, and you can't feel them.
Your thumbs are destroyed. But that's what they want to see. They want to see the college athlete go against really good competition. However, it's a little bit different for pitchers. Okay, for pitchers, depending on who you are, right, and where you're currently playing at. For example, the Friday night at UF does not need to be at the first game of the summer collegiate season, right, for his team, right? He doesn't need to be at the first 2 weeks. He doesn't need to be at the first 3 weeks. He doesn't need to be there until someone says, "Hey, Paul, the Miami Marlins want to see you throw on Friday night." Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm coming down just to fly to perform this one job and then leave, right? Or I'm there for a specific amount of time to show what I have because this is the people that want to see me. So pitchers are a little bit different. Now, if you're a pitcher coming from a school that's not as well known, that's a little bit different. Obviously, you want to go out there to the best collegiate league and get yourself out there and in front of eyes as much as possible throughout the summer. However, there's a big difference between position players having to show up right away at summer ball and pitchers that show up roughly 2, 3, 4 weeks later. Because obviously the routines are different, right? Pitchers, they need time to take off after school, or they need to go back home to grind with their personal coaches or wherever the pitching instructors are for a couple months, and then go back out there and then perform really, really well in front of really, really important people.
No, that's really, really well said. It's sometimes some of these guys don't need to be there, and it's like, you know, they show up, they throw their innings, they get their recognition. They're like, all right, see you guys. And some people are there for the whole summer, and they're like, I'm going to grind all summer, and I'm going to enjoy this whole experience. And, you know, that's something I did, and I really loved it, and I definitely grew as a player.
Yep.
So we can start to wrap this up a little bit. Isaac, the last segment we do for all of the interviewees that we have on is we get a scratch off. So a little story about this scratch off is I go and I buy them in bulk. I've been twice when I go and buy them, and both times I'm like driving and I'm like, oh shit, I have an interview today. I need to go get scratch offs. Like I ran out, and somehow they've both been like the sketchiest gas stations I've ever been to. I'm walking in, I'm risking my life for these scratch offs. So I'm hoping that one time that we scratch one of these off, we're gonna win something for our interviewees and for our and for possibly elevate a little extra money to put into our players. So I'm gonna start scratching this off.
You almost
now.
had
Nico,
50K once. We almost had 50K. We were one away.
What?
Yeah, one
like the
number
first
away.
one that we did.
So Nico and Mark, if you guys have any last questions for Isaac as I scratch this off, you can get going. Isaac also. Last time we had Danny Soretti on, who was a 6th-round pick for the Detroit Tigers, UNC shortstop for a while. He actually, as I was scratching this off, he asked us questions. So if you have any questions for us, we'll take it and be able to answer whatever questions you have for us.
Yeah, I have two. So to get a better understanding, what is kind of the philosophy you guys are trying to get out of these athletes you guys are interviewing? Like when you interview me or any other athlete, like what is the overall sense? Like what's the gist? Like what is the point of it?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not just saying this because you're on here. I think that this has been the best interview we've had so far because
I was gonna say that at the end too. Way to take the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like stroke your ego here. I'm being honest, like because like the whole point is to get an idea of who these guys are besides just like baseball players and we want people to understand like how you guys think, like what other hobbies do you have? Like it's like how are you as like a regular person that can just sit down and like shoot the shit for an hour, and you're not like, oh, I'm at the batting cages, I'm in the gym, whatever. It's like we're just having conversations here, and I think that the way that you articulate certain things, people might be like, wow, that kid's really well spoken. Wow, that kid's got, he's got like he knows like what he wants to do with his life. I mean, like, oh, what's Tiwa Nunez like? Let me go check that out or whatever. So I think that this episode really fulfilled exactly what we wanted to do. And it's hard for some guys. Like some guys don't want to open up totally, and like it's not for everyone. But like as much as we can get guys to open up and share more about themselves, I think that is the true goal that we're trying to accomplish here.
100%. I would follow that up, just being like, we're here to show the world who exactly Isaac Nunez is on and off the field. It not on your tombstone. It's not going to say Isaac Nunez, great baseball player. It's going to say Isaac Nunez, father, son, whatever else it wants to be. And we want to show everybody that side of you.
I love Very that. Cool. Yeah, that's something that we just love doing here, helping athletes get their stories, grow their brand. Kind of goes exactly with what we're trying to do at Elevate. We're not MLB PA sponsored agents yet, but hopefully in the future that's something we'll get certified to do. Gives us a platform to start building a foundation. And then I'm just someone who like planning each week to get onto the phone with kids who have different stories all throughout the world and help them get their stories out there and hear more stories from other people. So that's why we really like doing this podcast. And we're busy. I'm in a graduate program. Me and Nico are in season. Mark works another job. Like we're obviously all busy guys, but like it's so cool to book out an hour each week, get on the phone with whoever we're interviewing, and get to shoot the shit for an hour.
Yeah, I love. Go ahead.
You go. I don't have that great of news. You won $2.
Let's go. Come on, man.
All right. So just real quick to go with what Nico said and Mark too about the whole being able to articulate your words and being able to speak in an interview or being able to have a conversation with someone a specific way. Like, don't get me wrong. Living in New York, I have both sides to me. You feel me? So like I can switch it up and talk like I'm talking to my homies back from New York, right? Or I can speak as if I want to get a certain message across, where I now need to be able to slow down my words, articulate certain words that I want to get across, right? And so this is for all athletes, and this is for everyone out there. It is extremely important to know how to talk. Everyone thinks, oh, I know how to talk. I just speak English every day. Yeah, but you stutter more than my grandmother. You use the word like, but, relax. right? And this is something I've been preaching to my younger guys, so this is good that I have time to talk about this. I want to be able to tell one of my 14-year-old kids, see that family right there? I need you to go up to them and I need you to sell them our program. How would you do it? Hi, ma'am. My name is John. I've been part of this team for 4 years. I love everything about it. I need that kid. I don't need the kid that goes,
yeah.
Right? Like lock in. So again,
that's a tough task for a kid to do. That's tough.
Yes, it is. It's very tough. And I've seen maybe one of my kids do it really, really well. I've only done like 3 times, but I've seen one of my kids go up to a family and be like, "Hey, ma'am, my name is this, and that. I see your kid. He's a great baseball player. We need another shortstop. We would love to have your kid be part of our team." And so I've seen that. But again, to sum that up, be proactive with not just the ability to be able to speak, right, but the ability to be able to write and explain yourself, and the ability to talk to others, articulate your words. Take pride in that, because that shows a lot about a human being too, especially someone that wants to enter the professional baseball, professional anything realm. You're going to be talking to a lot of people out there. Learn how to talk.
Very cool. Definitely. All right, Isaac, thank you again for coming on. Hopefully we'll get you on again. Honestly, I mean, this, like Nico said, this was one of like our favorite interviews, I think, so far. And I hope we can get some reels posted together, maybe a collab post once we get everything chopped up, edited, and posted next Monday. And, you know, hopefully we'll have you back on, and maybe you'll have won another national championship, or you've been drafted. So good luck with everything coming up in the future. And if you ever need anything, reach out. We know we're always in constant line of communication through Elevate, trying to get you some more deals. But we're working on our end, and keep working on your end.
Hey guys, I appreciate all you guys for having me on. Shout out Elevate. For those who don't know, Nico is my boy. I've known Nico for the past 2+ years, and he has done nothing but help me understand business, number one, but also understand the importance of my own personal brand, and how much hard work goes into creating your own personal brand, so that someday I can make a lot of money off of it, and someday be able to go to my own facility and have everything already pre-sponsored for me, and brand new hack tags delivered just because they want me to promote about it. But again, shout out Elevate, and thanks you, Paul, for having me. Mark, same thing. It's good having you guys.
I appreciate
thank you
for your time, Isaac. Thank you, bro.
Really good.